think as Michael just read them, but I think if we just introduce ourselves, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I have a question. As the speaker is highlighted, I'll be the big face on the screen, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Just
there we go.
on mine, though. Nobody else will see it.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. I'm like, I didn't realize I had myself pinned. They've completely changed the app.
Yeah, so what it is the speaker is highlighted, correct? So right now, my face is on all of yours. Okay.
Yes. And your wall, not just
my
your face.
wall, and it's tidied up behind.
That's pretty. I like that color.
Thank you.
Oh, we have Terry Court.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, TC.
Hi, Terry.
Hello, Miss Court.
Hi, Terry.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Deanna.
Hi,
Deanna.
I sneaked in.
Someone kick her out.
Michael Tater.
Keep in mind, this is being recorded.
It didn't start yet. Oh, it did. I am muting myself. Bye.
Let it be on the record that you started it. All right. Okay, do we want to get started right at 6 or give people a few more minutes to join?
I'd give it a couple more seconds.
Okay, I'm going to present, Mr. Tater, and you can just start whenever you're ready, since you're going to kick us off.
Okay. We'll give it another minute.
Okay.
Are we going to introduce ourselves first, so maybe don't present yet?
Oh. Yep.
That's okay.
That was just practice, Megan.
Nailed it.
It worked. All right, I think we could probably get started. Hello, everyone who is on our third and fourth grade curriculum night meeting. Thank you for coming. This is Curriculum Night 2020. My name is Michael Tater. I am the third and fourth grade science teacher. And we're going to be talking to you tonight about what your children are going to be doing this year in school. I'm going to let my colleagues introduce themselves.
I'll go next. My name is Megan Calvert. I teach fourth grade reading and writing this year.
My name's Mary McKenna. I am the math teacher in a fourth grade homeroom.
My name is Johnny Gustafson, and I'm teaching third grade reading and writing.
My name is Michelle D'Amico, and I teach third grade math, and I'm a third grade homeroom.
And I'm Renee Kresmer, and I teach grammar and social sciences. Good to see you all.
I'm Katie Murphy. I'm one of the diverse learner teachers on the third and fourth grade team.
I'll go next. I'm Terry Court, and I teach technology. This quarter, I have the privilege of working with third grade, and I'll work with fourth grade, second and fourth quarters.
I guess I'll go next, follow Ms. Court. My name is Deanna Kelly, and I've been teaching art at that's my son's puppy, art at Sauganash for my 19th year so far. And I teach fourth grade art right now this quarter, and then next quarter I will be teaching third grade art as we rotate.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Kurzidlo. I'm also a teacher of students with diverse learning needs for third and fourth grade.
Okay, I think that was everybody that's here.
You know what? I'll just jump in real quick. It's Mrs. Munns. How are you? Welcome to Curriculum Night. Just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. You've got an awesome team that works so well together. Not only is these teachers, but also any of the support staff, as well as any of the aides, etc. You really are lucking out. You've got a great working oiled machine. It has truly helped with this unique situation that we're all in learning remotely. So not only do they collaborate when they're in the building, they also collaborate now outside of the building virtually. So feel free. I'm hoping that tonight a lot of your questions are answered, so you have an idea of a day in the life of what your child goes through, and any support or any questions that you may have, please feel free to not only email your teachers, but also administration any way that we can help. We're here. It's a partnership. We're in it together. So let's get through it together. Enjoy your evening, and thank you all for being here.
All right, Mrs. Calvert, I would share the presentation.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Munns.
Thank you, Mrs. Munns. All right. So, as I said at the kickoff, this is Curriculum Night 2020. And yeah, this is a little bit of a different situation than what we are used to in the past. But I think so far with the students have really adapted well thus far. And we keep telling them, hey, you know what, we're all learning from this situation. If something doesn't work right away, don't panic. We'll work through it. We're here to help you. You know, it's a learning situation for all of us. If you have any questions during the presentation, please post them in the comments section. Hopefully we address them during the presentation, but if something, if we're able to, we'll try to answer them in the comments section as we go along. Additionally, if there's questions after the presentation is over, we might have a little bit of time for a Q&A, or if not, we can always, always email. You can always email any of us, and we're more than willing to get back to you with any questions that you may have. And if you're not sure whom to email, you can just send it to the homeroom teacher, and we will, we can always forward it to the correct person if we cannot address it.
And if I can just interrupt, Mr. Tater, the comment section is also known as the chat box.
Ah, sorry. Again, we're learning, me included. So our 3rd and 4th grade team, we introduced ourselves. Also on the team, we have Miss Ocampo and Mrs. Ciccone, who work with some of our 3rd grade diverse learners, as well as Miss Ihana, who works with our EL students. And then we have Mr. Lopez, who is the gym teacher, who is working, I believe he is working with 3rd or 4th grade this year, and Mr. Gunderson, who is working with the 3rd grade.
All right, so this is the copy of the master schedule that we are following during remote learning. It mirrors in many ways the schedule that students would traditionally be following in the classroom. So as you can see on the top of each section, the first section is specials. So as Ms. Court and Ms. Kelly talked about, for the first quarter, the 3rd graders are rotating between music, tech, and PE. And then the 4th graders are rotating between STEM, art, and PE. And then the quarters moving forward, it will rotate to different specials. And then from 9 to 10:15, you could see each of the students' groups, 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, as well as 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, and where they are. And you can follow that schedule all the way down Monday from 9 to 10:15, and then from 12 to 1:15 and 1:15 to 2:30. One part we're going to talk about more extensively in this presentation is the asynchronous work time. So that is a time for students to work independently. I know I will go into more depth in a few slides about what the reading and writing expectations are during asynchronous work. And Ms. McKenna and Ms. D'Amico will go into further depth of what the math expectations are during that time. So asynchronous work is essentially when students are working independently. They do not need to be on a Google Meet. 11 to 12 is a school-wide lunch break, and then the schedule continues for the students' classes for their 2nd and 3rd block periods. And then 2:30 to 3:30 is a great time to email us with any questions you have, or if your students have any questions, that would be a great time to reach out to us.
Oops, that's me. Okay, again, my name is Renee, and I'm going to talk to you about participation. So administration and the staff all agreed that 50% of the grade would be participation, just so the students know how important it is to actually be there and pay attention and be prepared and just follow all of the rules, participating in discussion. So we know some of the kids are shy, and as long as they're engaged and focused, that's all we care about. Thanks. Oh, I bet you want to know what the other 50% is. So that would be the that would be the classwork, the work that they do, tests, quizzes, assignments. Thanks.
All right, and this slide talks about communication. So as kind of what Mr. Tater said, going forward, whenever you have a question, feel free to reach out to any of us for help with your students' work. If you don't know who your student's reading teacher is, feel free to always email their homeroom teacher. And as homeroom teachers, we can redirect you to the correct teacher because we know it's hard to keep in track with all like the switching and stuff like that. So all of us have our own personal emails that you can reach us at, and this is always the best way to communicate with us. So feel free to email us whenever.
Sorry, I'm a little slow because the meeting's so big. Okay, so technology and screen time. We know that this is probably going to be the biggest adjustment for everybody during remote learning. And everybody has different technology limitations at home. So if there is ever an issue with like internet or a device not working, just email the teacher and we're going to be really understanding about this. We understand that it's going to happen. Just let us know so that we can be aware of it. And then we've been kind of evaluating what's been working during the first week of remote learning with the kids. And we have found that built-in breaks are working well. So just taking like a 5-minute break in the middle of class, but giving the kids time to use the bathroom, get water, even just step away from the computer for a minute. And then moving forward, some of us have started this week. At the end of class, occasionally we'll be doing small groups with the kids. So where the majority of the class will step away from the computer to work on asynchronous work that they've been assigned by their teacher. Like a small group of 5, maybe 6 students will stay on with the teacher and get more individualized instruction and have a little bit more time where they can actually unmute themselves and we can have a conversation, since we know that the large group time, they are muted and it's harder to have those conversations. And we're just going to keep evaluating this every week and we'll see what works. And we'll go from there because we're learning too. But we definitely want to make sure that everybody's getting the most out of their remote learning experience. We're just going to keep evaluating it every week and go from there. Oh, this is me again. So 3rd and 4th grade reading. I'm the 4th grade reading teacher. Ms. Gustafson is the 3rd grade reading teacher, but in both of our classes, we will be having regular practice with complex text and academic vocabulary. We're going to build knowledge through literature, nonfiction, and informational text. The students will complete reading responses that are grounded in text evidence. That's a really big shift for when they come in 3rd and 4th grade, is finding that text evidence to support their answers. And then we will also do small group, shared reading, and then we'll also have individual reading conferences with the students. We have kind of a few books that you might have noticed came home in that big grocery bag for their supplies. We have Wordly Wise, Ready Common Core, which we call RCC. The students will be using iExcel on the computer occasionally, not so much during remote learning because we know it's already a lot of screen time. Scholastic News, and then Scholastic Storyworks. And then, oh, and those are our instructional materials. And that's it. Ms. Gustafson?
All right, so during remote learning, we're doing our best to complete work during the school day. So for example, the Wordly Wise that would traditionally have been homework in previous years, we are trying to do it during asynchronous time. So students get the opportunity throughout the day to complete as much work as possible without having to do extra work outside of the scheduled class day, because we know these days are a little more challenging just given the technology difficulties some of us are having, as well as just a new format of school in general. However, there are still some times that work is not completed and it will need to be finished on students' own time. In terms of vocabulary, the following Wordly Wise vocabulary assignments should be completed during the asynchronous work time from 10:15 to 11. And to reiterate, the asynchronous slides that tell your students what they need to be doing during that time are in their homeroom Google Classroom under an assignment called asynchronous slides. So for example, Monday during asynchronous time, students are completing sections A and B. Tuesdays, they are completing sections C and D. Wednesday and Thursday, students will be completing E. For 3rd grade, I know E is composed of 10 total questions. So Wednesday would be 1 through 5 and Thursday would be 6 through 10. And I know for 4th grade, it is 15 questions. So 1 through 8 or 1 through 7 and then 8 to 15 would be completed Thursday. Each Friday, there will be a Wordly Wise quiz during class. It will be given in the format of a Google form, and students will complete that during that time.
Sorry, I was trying to keep up with the chat. Okay, so for grammar, we're doing it the first meeting of the week, and that is the gum book. So this is 3rd grade, and this is 4th grade. 3rd grade is way prettier. And for social studies, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I wasn't prepared. For social studies, grade 4, we're finishing this book. So hopefully they hung on to it. If not, I can post pages onto Google Classroom. And for grade 3, they don't have this book at all. So I'll be posting, if I want any reading done, I'll be posting the reading to the 3rd grade Google Classrooms. And also about Google Classroom, you can sign up for a summary of grades. Just know that sometimes they're not accurate. So always ask your child, about if you see a grade you don't like, or if something's blank, it might not have been a graded assignment. And then also for 4th grade, we're going to go into civics, which is a 4th grade program called Engaged, and that was developed by the Constitutional Rights Foundation of Chicago. Done.
So for science for 3rd and 4th grade, so for 3rd grade, I will see the 3rd graders on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They are following the NGSS aligned Amplify curriculum. In the bags that you picked up at the beginning of the school year, there were 2 workbooks in there for the first 2 units that we're working on. Unit 1 for 3rd grade is balancing forces, where they're going to be, the phenomena that they're looking at is this floating train, and they're trying to figure out, well, why is this train rising up off the ground? Then we'll move on into the 2nd quarter, inheritance and traits. They'll be looking at a pack of wolves to determine and trying to figure out, well, how did these wolves get the traits that they have? Then we'll move on 3rd quarter into environments and survival. How are different species able to survive in the different environments? And then we'll end the year talking about weather and climate. The 4th grade, I will see on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Mondays and Wednesdays classes are strictly science, and then Fridays are a combination of science and our SEL instruction 2nd step. So Fridays could be where we want to finish off a little something in science, and then we're going to do a little bit of our 2nd step, or it might be where it's just completely 2nd step, where something has arisen that we want to kind of talk about and deal with. So last week was just kind of like, okay, we talked about some of the things that were a little bit challenging for them during remote learning at the beginning of the year, to try to work on how could we work through these things. As to the units that the 4th grade are going to be taking a look at, the first unit that they're looking at is studying energy conversions, and they are working as electrical engineers to try to figure out why this town is having these blackouts, and then in addition trying to figure out what recommendations we can make to a specific town talking about, or to solve their blackout problem. Then we're going to be taking a look at vision and light and how all that works together, followed by Earth's features, how the Earth's features are formed in the 3rd quarter, and then ending the year with waves, energy, and information. Before we cycle to the next slide, there was one, I noticed a question in the comments talking about participation. Participation isn't just the students being called on in class. It's a breakdown of trying to share with or participating, having the proper materials for class, making sure that they're not turning on and turning off their meeting or leaving meetings early. And just, we can tell when they're engaged. So it's a little bit of a breakdown. It's not just, am I being called on, just to kind of clarify. math.
Oh, I was just chatting it up and I had my microphone off. Sorry, everyone. This is Miss McKenna. My microphone's on now. Miss D'Amico and I are the 3rd and 4th grade math teachers. We got a new updated version of the Envision Math this year, and it had we've connected all of our students through Google Classroom to the math book. So during class time, we can pull it up. We can talk about. I can have on my screen the exact page that they have in front of them. Each Friday, the students will have a fact fluency quiz. We're just still working in 4th grade, still working on the multiplication facts. I'm not ready to give a quiz this Friday, but eventually we'll be doing that on Fridays. After each math topic, the students will be assessed on the material they learned that lesson. During asynchronous time, we can expect that they will be working on fact fluency, practice concepts on IXL. It's been a little more difficult. I'd like them off the screen time, but it's been a little more difficult to find, math, fact practice and fact fluency, not through our, computer. We're also doing the same thing that reading was saying, doing our best to complete the work through the school day. So if the student doesn't finish it, it will be their responsibility to finish on their own time, but generally they will have enough time to finish during the school day. Thank you.
All right, so then in 3rd and 4th grade math, you can expect that your 3rd graders should be fluent in addition and subtraction facts up to 12. So they should be able to do those rapidly with like a set amount in a minute. And then students will be now working on 1 multiplication fact a week. We've started this week in small groups kind of reviewing some multiplication facts just to kind of get a grasp on where they are and where they left off from last year. So practicing these at home every day would be really helpful. Mid-year multiplication and division facts will go up to 12, and they should be mastered to help multiple step problems, especially as we get into more math. They're going to see multiplication a lot more often, so it's really important that these fact fluency skills are ingrained in their brain, and like they're really practicing these a lot. And that goes for both 3rd and 4th grade. And for 4th graders, they should be fluent in both addition and subtraction and multiplication and division facts up to 12. And then I just wanted to elaborate on one of the questions in the chat about the math test. So on Savvis Realize, that is the math online version of the book. We started with a readiness test, it was called. And so some students are still working on it because we had some delays with the website. But it is just like a beginning of the year, like kind of like a diagnostic test to see where they are and what they remember from 2nd grade. It does not affect their grade at all, but it's just to help me and Miss McKenna realize like what we need to review from last year, what things kind of like slid off during the summer, and what kind of things we can prepare them for to better get through 3rd and 4th grade math.
Agreed. In addition, in the 4th grade, we're doing the same. There's 36 questions, and we've kind of talked about 2 and 3 and 4 of them each class period. So I put in the Google Classroom a week to do that, just to take their time to do a couple of questions each night, and then we'll talk about them in class. Class Dojo. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it. I know that 2nd grade does it, so I'm certain your kiddos are familiar with it. 3rd grade especially, just doing it last year. We're going to do that just to always reinforce positive behaviors. I keep telling them how proud I am for getting there on time, for trying their best, and I appreciate their honesty in telling me I don't want to talk, and then they put their answer in the chat. So doing something fun like the Class Dojo where they can earn points, and then we'll come up with some fun little incentives for that, I think will be nice for them. So please, last week when Ms. Gustafson sent out the newsletter, there were links for you to join. If you didn't, it will be in this Friday's note from the 3rd and 4th grade team. We'll resend the links.
So along that note, as Ms. McKenna said, the weekly newsletter, there was a weekly newsletter sent out Friday to all of the email addresses that we have listed in Aspen for the 3rd and 4th grade parents. It came from my email address. It was jbgustafson2@cps.edu. If you did not receive it, please email your child's homeroom teacher with the emails you would like to receive the newsletter at. This newsletter is a supplement that is a little more specific to 3rd and 4th grade, in addition to the weekly newsletter that Mr. Kennedy sends out. That the school-wide Sauganash email was also linked in the newsletter I sent out as well on behalf of the 3rd and 4th grade team, and it will also be in this Friday's upcoming newsletter. And we send these newsletters out Friday morning. So if you have any questions Friday, feel free to reach out to us.
Okay, so if we want to look through the chat, or if someone wants to unmute and ask questions, how do we want to go forward here?
Sorry, there was a number of questions talking about how the students were placed in the different classes. I don't know if we want to address that now.
Great.
Mr. Tater, are you going to take that one, or do you want me to answer it?
I think that'd probably be better from you.
Okay. So we in 3rd and 4th grade are very happy to have 3 classes per grade now. So we have 3 3rd grades and 3 4th grades. And we decided that the way we were going to break up those classes was going to be different than the way we did it last year. So we decided to keep one of the classes a more accelerated curriculum. So we'll be able to teach at a little bit faster pace, and maybe even the content can be a little bit more challenging. And then the other 2 groups are completely mixed heterogeneously. So it's not like there's a high group, a middle group, and a low group. 2 of the groups are just mixed heterogeneously. There's no leveling. And then one of the groups will be accelerated and moving at a little bit faster pace. And they'll stay in that group throughout the entire day. So like last year, some kids had a different reading group than math group, but this year it's the same for everything. So we decided on those groups by looking at, their NWA test scores from the winter of last year, but that was just a very small part of it. We also, Mr. Tater and Ms. Kresmer and I were lucky to have these kids last year, so for the 4th grade at least, so we were able to just use our classroom observations and what we know about the kids to place them in groups. And then the 3rd graders, we got input from the 2nd grade team. And just the same thing. They told us about test scores. They told us about just behaviors and what groups they thought would work well together. So I hope that makes sense. No, the groups are, I'm sorry, I'm just answering Alexa's question. She asked if the groups are locked in for the whole year. The groups are always flexible whenever we make them. So we can always make changes as needed throughout the school year. Nobody's locked in for life. We can make changes as needed.
I saw a question about work completion. I mentioned it in the chat, but in case we didn't see that, work completion, we're trying to be flexible about work being turned in a little bit late. And if it becomes a chronic problem, then we will we'll talk to the student and to the family to kind of address that, so that moving forward, we can get to a better schedule of getting things completed on time. But as all of us have said, we're trying to get as much of the work completed during our class time as possible, so that after that 2:30, 3 o'clock hour, there's very minimal work to do, seeing as, everything is we're seeing as there's as much screen time and everything going on as possible during the day.
I'm going to take that question about the math, how the other 50% is graded, and if you're supposed to submit something from the book. So when the students submit everything through Google Classroom, if Ms. D'Amico and I start seeing a pattern that it's not coming in, we'll be happy to contact you. the parents.
And also going off of one of the questions in the chat about math, someone asked how like tests will be taken. For the math, the Savvis Realize has like an online version that lets them take it like a multiple choice test on their website. So it's really nice because it's hard using Google Forms always for certain math tests because you can't put certain graphs or like fractions in Google Forms easily. So we'll probably be using Savvis Realize for most of it, which they all have their login now, and it's connected to Google Classroom. So it'll all generate through there.
I'm seeing some questions about the asynchronous work and if it needs to be turned in and if it's going to be graded. So I can speak at least for reading for Ms. Gustafson and I, the Wordly Wise, that is the asynchronous work. They are not like taking a picture of it and sending it to us. That's too much work for the kids to do every day. So we will be checking that work by their participation. So they can participate in the chat, they can participate by unmuting themselves. And just by them having conversations with us about the Wordly Wise assignments, we're going to be able to tell if it's something that they were completing or not. And then that's something that would be part of the participation grade. So we can see if they are participating and doing the vocabulary, then we know that they are on task and ready to go for the day, and that affects their participation.
There were a lot of questions about NWEA. So Mr. Tater and I don't give that. Maybe a reading or math teacher wants to take that. How will the NWEA be given?
I don't think we know that yet. Mr. Kennedy, go ahead.
So we have our meeting with our network. Good evening, everyone. We have our meeting with our network on Friday. Julie McGlade, who is our network chief, will be going over some of this. But the plan is to do a spring NWA assessment. They have not committed to winter or anything prior to that. But that's all we know at this point. And then obviously, as we get that information, we will be sure to send that out. I was responding to Deepak's Mr. Bapu in the chat. I will be uploading all the recordings tonight from both the fourth session that we're in right now, and then last hour we had kindergarten and first grade. All of them will be uploaded tonight to YouTube, and then we will blast them in the newsletter with the PowerPoints as well. So hopefully anyone, if you want to revisit the info or anyone that was unable to make it, it'll be there for you.
I just want to add on top of Mr. Kennedy's comment about the NWA, ISB, which is our Illinois State Board of Education, is requiring all students in the state of Illinois to take a spring assessment. And that is what we will be conducting. As we know, NWA in spring, we have not gotten notification. So again, not sure if we'll get it Friday. Don't know if CPS, we're hopeful, but we will, Mr. Kennedy, and we'll ask the question to Chief McGlade to see if we will be giving it. As soon as we know, we will definitely communicate it with our families.
And I know we have a lot of other, teachers and educators on this call that are parents in other districts and whatever else. I can tell you that my sister, she is a new teacher in Schaumburg, District 54, and they attempted to do their MAP NWA testing remotely, and it did not go very well. So I'm sure they did a fall test last week, and I guess it was very rough. So I'm sure CPS will work through and see what went well, what we could fix. But hopefully as we move more into a hybrid or in-person model, then that's done in school.
So how do you sign up for Google Classroom summaries? You can email any of your child's teachers and we can add your email address to our Google Classroom. And then because it's Google, it will go to all of their classrooms, which is great. So if you just let us know, we'll add you and then you'll be on all of their classrooms. So you don't have to sign up for each class individually, which is nice. So Ms. Chappelle, it's probably because you're not signed up for Miles's Google Classrooms yet. So just remind one of his teachers after this meeting and then they can just easily put you on there.
This is stressful trying to keep up with all the chat questions. But yes, yeah, please send any teacher an email and say, I'd like to be signed up for summaries. Thanks.
Miss Kresmer, it's Miss Tassoni. Do you have, is the Just Add Water, your book, is it available on Amazon still?
It is out of print right now, and it might be like at some used bookstores. It might, I don't know if Amazon still has stock. Once Miss Kresmer gets it together and revises it and finds a publisher, then we'll be able to buy it.
Okay, thanks. Just wondering.
Sure, thanks.
If we missed any questions because it was moving quickly, feel free to ask again. We probably just didn't see it.
One thing I did notice, some were asking about SEL instruction. We're following the program's second step. There is no like book for that. We will, for the 4th grade, when we are doing the second step lessons, there are online lessons that we'll be doing. So there's usually like, there are these short little videos and some music videos that they encourage me to sing with the children, which I will not be singing to torture your child with my lovely singing voice. But they do, as painful as it would be for me to sing it, the kids really actually get into the songs and they'll bring that up. But that would be the second step would be the online curriculum that we're using throughout the building.
Do we still have a specials teacher on with us, Miss Cord or Mrs. Kelly?
You have both of us.
Oh, great. Mrs. Stavrakis has a question in the chat. It just went away. She's
I know.
Do you
Go
see
ahead,
it?
Mrs. Kelly.
I'm looking for it.
Well, I'll just from my end for the 3rd grade, we've been working on some basic computer skills, and I recognize that we have been out of school since March. And so I'm addressing some basic Google usage using drop and drag, creating text boxes, inserting images, things like that. So we've been working on that with 3rd grade during this quarter, just to get them some additional basic skills that they may have not perfected during the 2nd grade. So although some of the students may be struggling a little bit, we absolutely are working on it together in school so that they understand these basic concepts of utilizing Google and all the Google Suite products.
I'll just chime in. The whole reason we kind of did the schedule the way we did it this time around was because having specials once weekly and then not seeing them again was a very rough recipe in the remote world. So that's why this year, it is a little confusing on the front end because they're on a 3-week rotation. But the beautiful thing is that Miss Court has 3rd grade, Miss Kresmer's class 5 consecutive days, and then she sees them again, 3 weeks later. But having them 5 consecutive days should alleviate, any of that activities or assignments, work, whatever you want to call it, that they're doing within those specials class should be really done during that block of time and should be completed during that block of time. So that was kind of the beauty of it, is having them 5 days consecutively should not really have kids signing off at the end of the day and thinking, oh, I need to get this turned in for my specials class. That really shouldn't be the expectation, because they're having a 5 days in a row, to be able to be engaged in whatever that unit is that they're doing that week.
And as a specials teacher, just to jump in, I have 4th grade for fourth quarter, and I don't think I will have 3rd grade until 2nd quarter. But as Mr. Kennedy said, with the 5 days in a row, I always hope that I can teach something and have them do a project and wrap it up by that Friday, because then I won't see them again, as Mr. Kennedy said, for 3 weeks. So I do allow class time during class, and hopefully the amount of time I give them is enough to finish, or at least get close to being finished. And it's okay if they get close and don't finish.
I see a question about differentiating between within the groups for math and English. One thing we have been utilizing, aside from the smaller class sizes, now that we have 3 classes for each grade level, the most in any class we have is 28. And I think the smallest class for at least my 3rd grade I have is 22. So the smaller class sizes definitely allow us to differentiate more for each student. Aside from that, we've been working, this is a work in progress, but we've been working with the breakout rooms. So for example, in my reading class, I will work with students for the majority of the class period. And then the last 15, 20 minutes, I will take a different small group of 4 or 5 students each day to work on a different assignment. So for example, this week we were working on setting reading goals for the school year. So they filled out a Google form, just talking about what they think their strengths and areas of improvement are. So allowing students to have smaller groups and being able to use different Google Meets with different teachers, such as Ms. Ciccone, Miss Murphy, Miss Ocampo. So working in the small groups is going to be something that we do more moving forward for sure to differentiate.
I'll just add on to that. We also just completed the schedule for both our MTSS professionals. So Miss Carol Steele is our reading MTSS person, and then Miss Paula Borman is math. So they actually just completed their schedule. So they'll also be supporting as well. So, after we got all the logistics of week 1 out of the way, we were really excited to kind of get into week 2 and really, start to get that differentiated small group instruction, breakouts, all of that stuff. So, as the teachers, Ms. Gustafson just mentioned, that are in there, 5 days weekly, like she said, Miss Murphy, those are pretty consistent. Miss Paula and Miss Carol's aren't as consistent, but they're in there. Miss Carol will be with, Mrs. Calvert, 2 days a week at the same time. So it will allow the teachers to really get a, nice game plan together to also utilize those people as well. So, the goal is small group instruction, whether we're in the building or out, and that's not going to change. Just because we're in this remote. It just took us, a week to get into it. But we're excited for, that to happen this week and beyond.
And the same goes for math. We're doing the same, teaching the lesson and then leaving a little bit early and keeping one group with us. In 3rd and 4th grade. It's working out nice. And I had such a small group, I let everyone turn off their microphones. I said, you could all talk to me now because it's only 5 kids. Then they felt, better about being able to, all being able to talk.
It doesn't look like there's a ton of questions rolling in, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but I just want to thank you all. I mean, we try to say thank you in every newsletter possible, because, it is a true partnership, and you guys have been outstanding, both complimentary of, everything we're doing, but just what you guys are doing on your end for your own children is amazing. So we appreciate it. You have a very strong, 3rd and 4th grade team and support with the special teachers, diverse learners teachers, and all that. So definitely reach out to them. They're very quick to answer you. It shouldn't take more than 24 hours. Hopefully we can, answer the questions best, up to par so that you guys have a clear head in what you're looking for, as we continue this remote learning. But yeah, I can't express, thanks enough. So we appreciate it. And thanks for attending tonight.
Oh, can I ask a quick question to the 4th grade team? I think mine got buried way towards the top. Are we going to get any kind of offline or actual physical work, anything else additional for the kids, like any reading and writing and math practice that's worksheets? I worry about how much time Nicholas is trying to type instead of actually using his hands to write.
So I can speak for reading. We're going to be using, well, we just started Wordly Wise on Monday. Right. So that's something that will be in the book. We have the RCC book that will be starting next week. And then those are our only 2 that are like actual physical paper.
Okay.
Just considering everybody's technology limitations, we're afraid to give work that they have to print, knowing not everyone will be able to do that.
Sure.
I see Miss Kresmer was holding up her gum book. They'll be doing grammar once a week. And then math teachers, I'm not sure if you're using Envision Online or.
We are using Envision Online, and we have the Envision Math workbook. I guess we'd have to look into if we could do any fax fluency, but that would also have to be something that we would have to email you, and then you'd have to print.
Sure.
And we can look into that. I because it is in school, math is everything on paper and pencil, you know, and now converting it all to online is, I understand the frustration. So maybe we can look into that. Thank you.
It's not so much a frustration as like I personally have a math degree, so watching my son try to do math facts on the computer just pains me. But I don't know, like if there's any kind of supplemental we could just pick up if available, and perhaps it's not required for those that can't swing by. Like, I don't know, just throwing out options. I know at kindergarten we had a package pickup that had more physical papers. And I don't know if we want to do any, if that's even an option to have anything along those lines for 3rd and 4th grade to supplement, or early finishers or anything like that.
Okay.
This question.
And I think, sorry, Mrs. McKenna, on the cps.edu site, they do have things you can print out.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Stavrakis actually reminded me that they do have a reading and writing notebook too. We are still doing the good old fashioned journaling every day for writing and reading. So they are writing, they should have like a composition notebook or a spiral notebook at home.
And there are things in the science investigation notebook, once we really start getting into the thick of it, that they will be writing down as well.
Great, thank you.
I also think, you know, using the Math Envision book, because we do, you know, pay a lot of money for that. Obviously, we want that used, but it's nice that they offer us the digital platform too. But I know they're, you know, as both Ms. D'Amico and Mrs. McKenna get into it, there will be, you know, situations where maybe they don't necessarily need to see the students' work, where they're doing page 12 and they're, you know, it's kind of on the honor system where they're doing it in their book, so to speak, not necessarily turning it in for a grade or anything like that. But, you know, the math book is not going to be obsolete just because we're behind a computer.
I'm just going to jump in. You know, we are striving for a balance, so it's a team effort here. Great feedback from parents, so let us know when there's too much. We agree, it is a lot of screen time, especially when we're competing with video games and or TV. So that all is, you know, adding up on their screen time. So the more that we can try to get them to do some free writing, I think that's a great way to express themselves. It really is supportive. So I agree, Heather. Thank you for that.
And then Ms. Balan has a question for you about typing programs that you used last year in the chat.
Absolutely. I've been working with 3rd grade for the typing program, and I put it up so they're working with it. 4th grade, I will email it out to the 4th graders so they know they can log in and do some of that. And again, I know it's old school, but it definitely helps during all the other classes to be able to find the keys and type. So I will email the students on that this coming week so that they know they do have access to those programs, the 4th grade students, even though I don't see them until 2nd quarter.
Maybe you could send the typing to Mrs. Munn. She might need a little refresher too.
Sorry, Mrs. Munns.
It's okay. It's all good. I still look at the keypad.
I also want to give a shout out to the students. The 4th graders have been awesome. You know, I was a kindergarten teacher last year, so I didn't really know. I know a lot of these kiddos just because I've been at the school so long, but being able to talk to them and develop a relationship we're working on it, and they've been awesome. They've really been well behaved. They're trying really hard. It's a long day, and so I'm really, really proud of them.
And I would like to jump in as the art teacher and say kudos, kudos, kudos to all the adults involved in helping their children to get their education. My children are grown up. I have 3, and I always say, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how hard this must be to keep your daily life going and make sure your children are learning. So congratulations to you all. I have great admiration.
Thank you. Okay, I think we've answered most of the majority.
One more.
Oh, sorry.
One more. There was a question about asynchronous work being a lot of IXL, and I know that we discussed in our team meeting that we were going to mix that up with paperwork, correct?
Yeah, right now we've been assigning IXL for the diagnostic just to kind of get that out of the way so we can get the students placed, and then kind of working in more student like book work and things on paper to kind of get them off the screen. So hopefully once they finish that diagnostic, we'll be able to get them off the screen more often.
And remember the diagnostic, albeit more screen time this first week, we get that, but it will help the teachers in the long run in creating different groups for different units, because if they're doing a unit, on fractions, so to speak, and they pull up the IXL data, it'll show, oh, these kids are here in fractions. I know they're not getting the fractions for a while, but an example, and then it will give the teachers, that data to go off of how they want to do their groups, and all that stuff. So, the diagnostic is just something that we like to get out of the way at the beginning. Not trying to add more screen time, but definitely will help in the long run.
I would like to just add kudos to the parents. I've been hearing some nightmare stories of colleagues at other schools, principals at other schools. So very well disciplined, very much engaged. So thank you, parents. We know it's a team effort. We appreciate it. Great job.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, and please don't hesitate to email any of the teachers. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can say bye now.
Bye.
Bye, Gia.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Say bye.
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 Bye. Bye, Matthew.
Bye, Mr. Taylor. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye.
I literally just came in.
Bye.
Bye, Alina.
Bye.
It's like bye. Oh, bye.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Can we watch the movie now?
It still says recording, but I don't see Mr. Kennedy in here.
Yeah, he left. I don't know if he stopped it though.
It might still be saving to his drive.
Okay.
Even though
It usually takes
Yeah.
a few minutes to save.
And
We're
probably all of us, once we leave, it will also.
Oh, okay. All right.
Don't want to mess up the recording.
All right. See you tomorrow, everyone.
All right, I'll see you.
Bye, guys.
Night.
Well done.
Yeah.